Hi, I'm Scott Noonan, the CEO of Audio Advice. I'm super excited to review with you the new NAD M66 streamer preamp. If you have even remotely considered getting a high-performance streamer or new preamp, you've got to watch this video. So let's scroll back a bit in history when NAD made a big splash in the audio world back in the late 70s with the introduction of the 3020 integrated amp, which trounced a lot of more expensive gear in terms of audio performance. Since then, NAD has been all about making some of the best value products available. Their Bluesound series of streaming products is the choice of music lovers all over the world for a high-performance music streaming experience that sounds far better than you'd expect for its price. Many NAD owners were so happy with their NAD gear, but wanted something even better, which led them to develop their Master Series. This is their no-holds-barred assault on the state of the art of sound. And even though it's more expensive than their main line of gear, it still sells for far less than most of the competition from a performance and feature standpoint. As all of you know, music streaming has become incredibly popular because it's so easy to access unlimited songs in lossless and high resolution with a couple of touches on your phone or computer. That's why we've seen so many people add streamers to their stereo systems. However, if you want a completely seamless experience where you can choose your music, change your volume, and control everything from your phone or computer without needing multiple apps or even a remote control, then a streamer preamp combo is for you. All you need is to add a power amp and speakers. I'll cut to the chase and tell you that the NAD M66 sets a completely new standard in this category for both performance and feature set. I was fortunate enough to coordinate with NAD and Dirac on the M66 prior to its release, giving them my input along the way as the software was improved, so you can imagine that I'm really happy with the final product. Like the rest of NAD's Master Series, the M66 is all about great performance and build quality. The M66 has brushed aluminum front panel with rounded edges and beautiful 7-inch touchscreen and perfectly matches their other Master Series products, including the M23 power amplifier I have here that many are likely to pair with the M66. It is honestly one gorgeous piece of gear and is solid as a rock. When you take a look at the rear panel of the M66, you'll see far more connections than you would typically see on a preamp streamer combo. The usual suspects are there with 2 coax and 2 Toslink digital inputs, but you also get an AES balanced digital input. In addition, you'll find 2 analog inputs in both a moving coil and a moving magnet phono input. It also has an HDMI ARC input for connecting your M66 up to a TV for much better television audio. There's also a USB input for external drives. The RCA output connectors are high-end and chassis mounted, plus you get a pair of XLR outputs as well. The M66 basically has everything you would ever want in terms of inputs and more. But to future-proof you even more, the M66 has 2 MDC2 slots on the rear. These slots allow you to upgrade your unit by simply adding a new card in the slot should a new technology come out. NAD has been including these MDC slots on its rear for years now, and it's enabled customers to upgrade their gear over time, which really increases the value of your investment. In terms of the back panel, I've saved the best for last. The 8 connectors you will encounter on the back of the M66 put it head and shoulders above any similar product I've seen in a 2-channel piece. There are 4 RCA and 4 XLR subwoofer outputs. Not only that, all 4 are independent. Okay, more about this in a minute. Now let's switch over to what makes the combination of the streamer DAC preamp so powerful. The heart of the M66 is NAD's highly regarded BluOS streaming system. Yeah, and by the way, most people in the United States have been calling this BluOS, but it's actually BluOS. When NAD first brought this BluOS to the market years ago, it sounded great, so high-performance music fans loved it, but it was honestly a bit awkward to use and a little buggy. Since then, the BluOS ecosystem and the corresponding app have become really good. The M66 uses BluOS, which not only means it's easy to control, but you can create an entire system of Bluesound speakers or other streamers around your house that can all play high-resolution music together or separately. BluOS supports all of the major streaming services, most of which offer better than CD quality streaming with millions of songs at your fingertips. You'll find Tidal, Qobuz, Deezer, and pretty much everything else. And when your friends come over, they can easily Bluetooth their music to the system in aptX HD or play their music using Apple AirPlay 2. The M66 comes with a relatively simple remote that allows you to control inputs using these numbers, volume control, mute, and other basic functions. However, the vast majority of people will never need to use the remote and will instead control the M66 from the BluOS app on their computer, phone, or iPad. This part is really important to understand. If you just add a streamer to a traditional stereo system, you'll control your music selection from your phone or device. However, if you want to increase volume or mute it, you'll likely need to use a separate remote for your preamp. With the M66, it's all integrated seamlessly together in the BluOS app. Now, I've tried pretty much everything in my office listening room, and I can tell you that this makes the experience way better than fumbling through a streaming app and then picking up a separate remote to adjust volume and back again. I also utilize Roon for a bunch of my testing, which also allows you to select your music and change volume from the same interface as well. During my testing, the M66 was going through the final Roon certification, but I expect it will be complete by the time 99% of you receive your units. The M66 is not just a blue sound piece on steroids. It uses what I consider the best digital analog converter currently available. It comes with the flagship ESS Sabre ES9038 Pro DAC and the ES9822 Pro analog to digital converter. These are about the most expensive available and cost 5 to 10 times as much as what you'd see in most of the other streamer preamps on the market. Honestly, I've been anxiously waiting for someone to finally put the 9038 Pro into a piece like this. While this is a wonderful sounding DAC, NAD also implemented high-performance support circuitry that allows the great DAC to extract the most subtle musical details from your digital sources. This is evident by how much heavier this unit is than virtually all its competitors, including 2 power supplies, one for analog and one for digital. Also for the M66, NAD developed a new circuit called Dynamic Digital Headroom. In researching how digital signals behave with explosive transients, they observed you could get some clipping with sudden high-frequency attacks. Think of a quick cymbal crash. This circuit reduces the clipping, with the result being some of the most effortless cymbals you'll ever hear, along with a small improvement in dynamics of things like percussive rim shots. I tested it on and off. To be honest, for 99% of music, most people will not hear a difference. However, for certain tracks, for example, some 16-bit CD quality classic audio tracks, there's a slight audible difference. I cover it in more detail in my M66 setup video that we'll send to all audiophile M66 customers. The M66 even uses a high-performance volume control typically only found in really high-end equipment. It uses precision ladder resistors to improve dynamic range and give you perfect channel matching even at minuscule volume levels. Okay, for those of you wanting to have both a great 2-channel system and home theater rig in the same room, you'll be happy to know the M66 will have 2-channel bypass to incorporate it into your home theater. This feature had not yet been implemented when I did my testing, so if this is important to you, check with our team at audiophile-grade to find out if it's been released. We will have the webpage on the M66 updated, or you can easily chat or call our team. At audiophile, we're huge believers in room correction. Dirac, which is the system on the M66, has been around for many years and has pretty much become the go-to system for most high-performance home theater brands. It essentially plays frequency sweeps from each of your speakers and then implements a set of corrections to adjust for things like frequency peaks and valleys caused by your room. Recently, Dirac has gotten really good at room correction, and in particular, improving the bass response in a room. Many high-performance pieces come with Dirac Live. However, they have a more advanced system called Dirac Live Bass Control. The M66 is the first stereo preamp in the world that includes Dirac Live Bass Control. None of the cheaper streamer preamp solutions have anything close to what Dirac is providing in this. I tested the M66 in both my theater and in my listening room with multiple speaker brands, and it shined across the board. And in my home office that you see me in now, which is also my listening room, I ended up testing it with Martin Logan Masterpiece Expression 13As and the matching NAD M23 power amp. The Martin Logan 13As are large electrostats that have dual 10-inch woofers built into each speaker, so they can play down in the low 20 Hertz range. I've always had a bass peak in my room around 70 hertz. When I've tested other streamer preamps, it drives me nuts to hear this and other negative room impacts in my music. Once I ran Dirac on the M66 and made my adjustments, the soundstage improved dramatically, along with tighter and cleaner bass without the boominess around that 70 hertz. Normally, intricacies of the shape of my room cause vocals to appear just slightly left of center, which also drives me crazy. The Dirac calibration totally brought vocals perfectly back to center. If you're really into hearing how the music was intended, having room correction built into the M66 will make it the easy winner versus the competition. As if having Dirac on board were not enough, if you are ever thinking about taking your stereo system up a level with additional subs, the M66 beats everything on the market right now with a combined streamer preamp level because it has both Dirac Live Bass Control and 4 independent sub outputs. Just to have fun, I added 2 Rel carbon special subs to my tower speakers. I then ran a handful of tests to see how the M66 performed. I tested using several great bass-heavy tracks, including Make Us Strong by Ghost Rider and No Sanctuary by Chris Jones, tracks you'll have to try if you like bass. I'll jump straight to the conclusion, which is that this system totally rocked beyond anything I've had in my listening room. Let me give you a little detail. I want to mention here that everything you need to set up and use the M66 is right in the BluOS app. Once you put the M66 on your network, you can choose it and then set up number of subs, crossover, etc. One point we make in our setup guides for our customers is also the first thing you should do when you set up the M66 or any streamer preamp, which is this: to set a reduced max volume so you don't accidentally damage your amplifier or speakers. I cover this in a handful of other key tips and tricks in the audiophile M66 setup video. All right, back to my sub test. The next thing I did was to run Dirac Live Bass Control. This adds advanced bass management capability, including phase alignment between the subs and your main speakers, with the goal of creating smooth bass response across the combined output. With bass control, Dirac sets the crossover based on its algorithms, but sets the floor currently at 70 hertz. Since many 2-channel users will have full range tower speakers, I talked to the team at Dirac and suggested that they allow the floor to go lower, or better yet, allow removal of the crossover so that Dirac can use the best bass from your subs and tower speakers in tandem. After a great discussion with their executive team on this, I am pretty sure we will see this update in a future software release. I tested lots of room curves in the M66 and ultimately settled on using the audiophile room curve. We send a copy of this audiophile room curve along with our M66 setup guide and the audiophile Dirac setup video to all purchasers, so I won't go into the detail now. I've always thought I did not need additional subs in my room, but once I experienced everything time and phase aligned and the extra depth, it really sold me. The bad news is that I'm now addicted to the sound and I'm gonna have to buy 2 new subs for my listening room. When you run Dirac, you'll want to follow our Dirac setup guide where I go through the exact steps for setting up Dirac and avoiding the most common errors, plus a few pro tips for those of you who want to totally geek out. If you run Dirac Live Bass Control, there are some more advanced capabilities like testing different crossover points that I also cover in the Dirac setup video. One point to note though is that most people who run Dirac for the first time feel that it gives them too little bass. What is happening 95% of the time is that you likely have a bass peak in your room at some frequency, in my case around 70 hertz. That frequency is booming in your room and covering up all of the other great sound, but it feels powerful as that one frequency peak resonates throughout your room. When the software equalizes everything and removes the peak and other peaks throughout the room, the boominess you're used to is gone and you'll perceive less bass. Usually at the same volume setting, you will have less SPL because the peaks have all been flattened out. So normally after running Dirac, you will likely use a little higher volume level setting to achieve the same total loudness or SPL, and you will quickly get used to the tighter and punchier bass. I generally recommend leaving it that way for a few days. If you still want more bass, I show you how to add it in my Dirac setup video, or you can use the audiophile curve, which also strengthens bass. There's another cool advantage to the built-in Dirac solution in the M66. It allows you to implement up to 5 different Dirac filters into the M66. Now, why in the world would you want to do that? My room is a perfect example. I have a seat where I listen to music while I work on my computer. Then I have a separate seat farther forward that is the ideal listening position in this room. As you might imagine, the frequency peaks and valleys are totally different in these 2 positions. I also have electronic blinds that I can open to see outside or close when I'm listening more critically. So you can see here where I have set 3 different filters, 1 for my listening chair and then 2 for my work chair, 1 for when the electronic blinds are closed and 1 for when they're open. 1 button press in the BluOS app and it will change to the appropriate filter for my current situation. You could also easily have a filter for extra bass if you wanted to. Another pretty unique feature for the M66 is the inclusion of a phono preamp that has both moving coil and moving magnet inputs. I do need to point out that the loading and gain for the moving coil section is fixed with the load set at 100 ohms. So some people with a moving coil will likely opt for a separate phono preamp you could plug into the analog inputs. NAD has you vinyl lovers covered, so you can either run all analog direct bypassing all of the digital processing or let your vinyl or other analog sources convert to digital to utilize the Dirac calibration. It was really good to see NAD was looking out for you, as the chips that convert your analog signal to digital are also top of the line ESS ADC chips. So what did I not like? Well, for how gorgeous this piece is, the large antennas on the back that you see here don't look great to me. So I turned them to the side, which will work for the vast majority of cases where you're not too far away. Second, on the touchscreen, as you scroll across inputs, you need to be deliberate to swipe below or above the inputs so you don't accidentally change the input as you're scrolling. Honestly, there's not much more to complain about. Okay, I could go on and on here talking about how great the M66 is, but let me just try to summarize for you. The M66 combines full streaming capability from every major service, is room ready, has both moving magnet and moving coil turntable inputs, has every other digital and analog input you could ever want, plus it breaks ground as the first stereo component with 4 independent subwoofer outs with built-in Dirac Bass Control, which itself is a $848 piece of software included. Now, very few rooms are approaching acoustically perfect, but with Dirac Live Bass Control, you can work what seems like magic in almost any room setting. It also has a great headphone output that automatically turns off the feed to your external amplifier, so you can switch to your headphones at night or if you don't want to disturb others. I can best summarize by telling you that my prior DAC and preamp are moving out of my own system and the M66 has moved in. That should tell you all that you need to know if this is within your budget range. If you have questions about the M66 or any other audio or home theater equipment, stop by one of our award-winning showrooms or give us a call or chat with our team at audiophile-grade.com. We live and breathe this stuff and would love to help you out. If you're looking for the M66 or any other piece of equipment and you've got an unbelievable dealer near you, go check them out, listen to it, and let them help you. Otherwise, if you don't, we would love to have you work with Audio Advice and have us help you, and we give you a price guarantee, free shipping, and incredible lifetime support, and all of our setup guides and videos. You can call us and we'll help you with Dirac or anything else. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.